Hi guys, it's Sydney, and this month we're going to talk about your 20s, the advice you get, self-help, and what to really expect and what it really looks like. Like, we're just going to have a conversation in which I am the only one talking, which is like my favorite type. But um let's start off by talking about this book, The Defining Decade by Meg J. It was recommended to me like twice last year, and I was like, I'm gonna go get the book because clearly people want me to read this. It is interesting. It almost is a book that's intending to debunk the 30 is the new 20 culture and mindset. And I agree and disagree with that mindset. I think that as a society, we haven't really progressed in discussing what life timelines look like now that everyone's living longer. Like, a lot of those milestones that you think about have been pushed back, and rightfully so, because we live longer. We have more time to live life and grow up and mature. Life looks really different than it did even 30 to 40 years ago. No, it looks incredibly different than it looked 5 years ago. Let's be real. So I don't necessarily agree with her like initial premise, but I do agree with some of the advice that she gives in this book. She wants people to treat dating a little bit more intentionally, and while I don't think that's necessarily a priority or anything that you should like take to heart if you're not doing that, I think that if marriage is something that you want to do, it is something to consider at a certain point, because it's just the dating pool is bigger like in your 20s than it's going to be in your 30s and 40s. That doesn't mean that you can't find the love of your life or the best partner ever. People find multiple loves of their lives. Like, that's not like, it's not to say that that's a thing, but I think that's good advice because a lot of people feel pressured to date around in their 20s, and that might not be what they like, what they want to do. Maybe they don't have the patience to juggle 10 partners at the same time, and there's nothing wrong with that. But culturally, it's almost like you can't win, especially if you're a woman. You can't win whether you want to date around or be in a serious relationship. You're either lame or you're a thought, like you don't get balance. And I think that this book, that's really my complaint about this book, is that there's a lack of balance. She talks about career, and she talks about how people, a lot of her clients, because she uses a lot of anecdotal stories to lead into her points, aren't living up to their potential in their careers. They're taking underemployment type jobs, which is like the idea that you're doing a job that's less of maybe your qualifications, which plenty of people do, whether out of choice or out of obligation to pay rent. But she almost paints it as an image where you're either choosing to do that or you're choosing to work this high earning, large fulfilling career that I don't think is accurate. There are plenty of people with degrees working so many different jobs because the labor market is crazy and bad. I'm not even gonna say crazy, it's bad. Like, graduating in May of 2020, plenty of people have found jobs, but that was probably awful. Like, my heart goes out to all of you. There were people with job offers who lost them. And so in 2008, 2009, people graduated and we were in a financial crisis. There were no jobs. So the idea that everyone is just like not looking for those jobs or can't do those jobs isn't true. Everyone can't. You might have gone to school to be a journalist and you weren't able to take that low paying or not paying internship in your field because you have to find somewhere to live during the summer when you can't stay in your dorm. Or you may have graduated with a journalism degree and then you decide you couldn't do that because they're paying you $2 an hour, because starting a job in journalism can be awful, to be frank. Like, low paying and trash. Like, there's a lack of nuance that I think is missing in this book, and I think that operating in absolutes, especially in a book that's meant to give advice, just is harmful at times. I don't think that this book intends to be harmful. I don't even think this book is necessarily harmful. I think that you should pick this book up and read it and let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, or if you have your own thoughts and opinions on this. Like, I think that this should be an open, not dialogue because I'm the one talking, but like an open, ongoing conversation that you should just think about if you're 18 or 19, or if you're 23 like me and just trying to figure out what your 20s is going to look like when you spent a year and a half of them locked in the house without having fun, like, or dating or anything like that. The next thing that I wanted to talk about here is just expectation setting and what you should expect from your 20s. They're hard. I have experienced, not a lot, like my 20s has not been traumatic this far, but I've experienced a lot of growth and a lot of changes in who I am, my personality, my outlook and perspective on life. In just 2 years, I know that change is probably more rapid, and you agree with me that it's even more rapid in the last year of my life, but you are learning and growing, and so I don't think that you should operate in absolutes during this time. I do think that you should explore different relationships and figure out what your dating style or your love language and all of that is, and if that means you have to go through different partners to get there, you do that. Because this is, even the book points out that this is the time in your life, your 20s is when your brain develops the most, and when you have the most personal changes to your personality. It's almost not fully locked in, but like who you're going to be as an adult, this is the time to decide that person. And you should be open to that. No matter what changes that makes in your life, no matter what difference that means for you, you should be open to that, and you should be willing to try those new things. And I don't think that you should be afraid of them. My favorite story in this book is actually putting in that expectation setting, or leveling off that expectation setting. That she had a client who wanted to move home to the South. They were living in like Northern California, I think, and she wanted to move back home to Tennessee. She wanted to be close to family. She wanted to start thinking about family and getting married and having kids and being near her family, and the lifestyle of living in the North, like the other side of the country. You're from the South and you're living on the other side of the nation, and trying to start a life there wasn't good to her. But when she would bring it to her friends, they would be like, well, this is your 20s, you're supposed to be living it up, girl. Enjoy this time away from the people, like have a good time. And as someone who has done that a little bit, like I spent a lot of time at home with my parents in the pandemic. I was like, I'm not about to be in this apartment by myself. I'm gonna spend time with my mom and dad, and we're gonna have a great time. And we did. But coming to the resolution that this is not the life that you want for yourself, I think is fine. I think that everyone is not going to party their 20s into oblivion. And if you want to do that, girl, God bless. Godspeed. Because me, I don't even know how to walk in heels anymore. So if we go back to like that lifestyle post-pandemic, I'm gonna be the friend in flats. But it's just that idea that you can't be someone who's ready to settle down in your 20s, or it's not the time to do that. Do things when you want to do them. The same way that you're learning and growing, you have learned that this is not the life for you. And I want that to be kind of what you take away from this video. You get to learn who you want to be, and you run with that. And if you want a book to guide you through that, or even just make you see another perspective, have a good time. She gave me a different outlook on some things. They aren't going to really change anything about what I'm doing, but almost help me color in some things that I was thinking about. I'm not about to put my business on the internet about what I've been thinking about, but she helped me color that in. And self-help, I think, is supposed to do that. And a lot of the books I've read haven't done that. So that's all for this video. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any thoughts about your 20s, if you've read a self-help book that you think like changed everything for you, put that down in the comments. If you like this video, please subscribe. I do literally like anything on this channel. I have ranked the first half of Degrassi characters. That's really all I've done. Last month I talked about organization and planners. This is just a place where I come to like chat. If you want to get any more content from me, I host a podcast about YA books with my best friend Sasha, and I have a blog called Diary of Simply Sid, where I talk about things like this, health, fitness, body positivity, music, anything I'm feeling. I'm a very random person and I haven't really figured out what my niche is, even though I've been doing this like blogging for like 5 years. But thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.